Welcome on board this JetBlue flight over the Atlantic. This is the cheapest transatlantic business class ticket we've ever booked. But is this budget business class a bargain or a bust?
Hello, jet setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. This is JetBlue Mint across the Atlantic, and you're coming along.
Here's the plan. We'll leave Amsterdam just before lunch and fly for 7 hours and 45 minutes over 3,457 miles to reach Boston at 1:15 in the afternoon. JetBlue added Amsterdam to its list of European destinations back in 2023, which makes sense because Schipol Airport is one of Europe's busiest.
Suzanne, I'm excited about this trip. We are headed back to the U.S., so I decided to dress in a patriotic way with my red, white, and blue, but what about your choice?
Blue for JetBlue. So excited to take this flight today.
We take seriously the idea of costume design here at greenergrass.com.
Very fancy t-shirt, you know.
All right, well, what do you say we go get checked in?
Let's do it.
A quick stop at the kiosk provided us with bag tags, which we then dropped off at the desk before making our way through security and immigration formalities.
Thanks to our Mint tickets, we were able to use priority security screening here at Amsterdam Schipol Airport, which saved us a bunch of time on this busy summer weekday morning. I don't know about you, but I love the hustle and bustle of an international hub airport like Amsterdam, and this is quite a place. There's so much to do here. Singapore gets all the credit, but there's a lot here too.
With tens of millions of passengers passing through Amsterdam's 223 gates each year, it's no surprise there's a lot to do. Perhaps my favorite feature is the Panorama Terrace, which we visited before our departure because it's accessible landside. Not only is this iconic F-100 perched proudly, but the space also offers sweeping views of the action out on the airfield. And for just €1, the action gets even closer. But back inside the terminal, we were getting ready for our trip.
We are traveling in early July, right in the heart of summer, peak pricing, right? I cannot believe the price we paid for these tickets. It was incredible, and we'll let you know later in the video exactly what we paid. But does paying less mean you're getting less? Or is it a great deal for the best business class in the US? Let's find out.
But let's get our priorities straight. First things first, let's find our airplane.
But along the way, I got distracted by what just may be the coolest airport clock anywhere.
And here it is, the year-and-a-half-old JetBlue A321 Neo that's going to take us across the Atlantic. All of JetBlue's airplanes have names, and this one is John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmint, to play on the fact that it has a mint cabin. Wouldn't you like to be in the meeting where they name this thing? I mean, that's got to be a good time. In our opinion, having access to a lounge is kind of an important part of a business class international flight. It just makes the whole experience feel a little more, I don't know, special. But one of the ways that JetBlue is able to charge less than its mainline rivals is by not operating lounges. See, unlike most airlines, when you fly business class with JetBlue, you don't have access to a lounge. I want to conduct an informal poll here in the comments. Do you think JetBlue is making a mistake by not offering it, or do you just not care and you're happy to have the lie-flat seat? Let me know in the comments below. But that's not going to stop us here in Amsterdam. We're headed to a Priority Pass lounge. Let's show you around.
We climbed the stairs to the Aspire Lounge, which we had access to thanks to our Priority Pass. Unfortunately, so did pretty much everyone else in Amsterdam Schiphol Airport today.
Well, I'm sorry to say that's a promise I don't think we can keep. There's just too long a line to get in. They've got a virtual queue, which we signed up for, but we're 83 and 84 in line, and our boarding is not too long from now. So unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a lounge visit this trip.
But we didn't want for views here. And we were also able to get a light bite at a restaurant on the way back to our gate.
JetBlue's European destinations are really expanding. London, Amsterdam, Paris, Edinburgh, Dublin. I think that's a good thing. The more options, the better. I'm booked into JetBlue's standard Mint Suite.
And I'm booked in one of the 2 Mint Studios, which is gigantic.
And we're going to check them both out in this video, but in order to do that, we've got to get boarded up, and it's time. So let's get over to the gate. I love this moment right before boarding. It's just the anticipation of the flight. Who knows what it's going to be like. I think it's going to be great. I'm not worried about that, but super exciting.
Next stop, Boston.
Here's Suzanne's gigantic Mint Studio. She'll be way more comfortable here than in any Amtrak bunk bed, top or bottom. And my smaller Mint Suite should be plenty comfortable too. Each Mint seat includes bedding from Tuft and Needle, which proved comfortable but a bit tough to store during taxi and takeoff. And naturally, the seats have all the conveniences you'd expect from business class these days, including a place to store the slippers that each Mint passenger is given on the flight. One of the areas where JetBlue really shines is with catering. Their menus are creative and unique, at least among US carriers. passengers are invited to order 3 of these items for the meal after departure, and then can select 2 of these items to eat prior to landing. Oh, and ordering can be completed on this screen. How great is this? It's easy for passengers and must be convenient for the flight attendants too.
Just in time for departure, when we got into the lounge, that virtual queue, I guess it's one way to solve the problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Your captain speaking. We've got 7 hours and 40 minutes of a flight time. We're going to be on the northern end of the Atlantic, so maybe on the right side. If the weather's good, you might be able to see a little bit of Greenland. Just to give you a heads up with the rain, and maybe a little bit bumpy out of here. Give you a good update when you get closer to Boston. Thanks for flying JetBlue Airways.
Narrow bodies like ours are becoming more common across the Atlantic, and we'll surely start seeing more and more of them. However, one key difference is that cruise speed is slower. For example, this Delta A330neo took off from Amsterdam 26 minutes after us, but touched down in Boston 3 minutes ahead of us. Meanwhile, back inside our plane, the in-flight entertainment was looking good. It offered an impressive 315 movies. Live television is also available, which is a real treat across the Atlantic. The supplied noise-canceling headphones did the trick. And Wi-Fi is available at no additional cost to everyone on board, an example I sure wish other airlines would follow. Mint passengers receive an amenity kit with the basics, but not much more. And the seat offers reasonable storage, including for a laptop computer here, but I wish there were more room here. It's just tight in terms of storage. The tray table, though, is large and sturdy, but the seat is not quite perfect.
Unfortunately, where my arm rests here, I keep hitting the seat adjustment. So I keep taking the seat into a lie flat position. For sure a first world problem, but definitely something to acknowledge. You got to kind of be aware of where your arm is. But let me be very clear. I am not complaining in the least about this spot. This is a great way to cross the Atlantic, for sure.
Service began shortly after we passed 10,000 feet. I began with JetBlue's signature mint condition, and Suzanne went with a limitless spritz from JetBlue's Zero Proof menu.
Very nice way to kick off the flight. It was actually delivered at my seat, poured from the shaker. It's little details like that set JetBlue apart from the other airlines. It's a fairly simple thing to do that makes a huge difference in terms of customer impact. This feels really special, like a really special flight, which it is.
But when lunch rolled around, Suzanne asked our cabin crew if I could join her in her seat. They said no problem, and we were able to have lunch together in the Mint studio. This is the only U.S. business class seat where 2 people can sit together like this. Suzanne opted for the escarole salad with Parmesan, the lasagna with kale and spinach, and the chicken Milanese with mustard greens. Over on my tray, I chose to have the tomato cucumber salad with marinated feta, the flat iron steak with summer squash, and, like Suzanne, that chicken Milanese. The ability to choose your own adventure when it comes to JetBlue's menu is a real advantage over other airlines. Unfortunately, though, I kind of had to prop up my table with my leg in here, but it didn't matter. It was totally worth it.
How nice is this sitting together, huh?
This is so much fun.
I mean, I don't think we've gotten to do this since we were on maybe Swiss first class.
Yeah, this is totally first class.
This makes the Mint studio completely worth it, I think, just to be able to share some space. We're actually going to do a little business. Maybe work a deal or something.
Take care of some emails.
Yeah, big stuff. Let's dig in.
Bon appetit.
For dessert, Suzanne had the vanilla gelato with strawberry jam and devil's food cake crumble. And she was nice enough to give me a bite of that ice cream because I opted for the cheese plate. Naturally, I returned her favor. The Gouda, or Gouda as my Dutch friends would say, was particularly memorable. Back in my seat, I closed the door and settled in with a tuft and needle bedding. In lie-flat mode, the seat is pretty roomy at the shoulders. The footwell, on the other hand, is a little tight in here. Suzanne's Mint studio is huge. They claim it offers the largest bed and TV on any U.S. airline. Now, the space was noticeable as she went into bed mode. For some reason, however, this additional pad beside her is no longer part of the bed, so she lost a little bit of the space there. She also had significant footroom and plenty of space up at her shoulders, too. There's also an additional storage closet at the front of the studio. But it was time for her to take a nap, and I wasn't far behind. The size difference between my Mint Suite and Suzanne's Mint Studio is fairly evident. This is just a tighter space. You will pay a premium of about $300 to book that studio though, so maybe it's worth it. Unfortunately, the views of Greenland the captain promised never materialized. The weather just wasn't in our favor, so I decided to explore the airplane a bit. These airplanes are premium heavy. In fact, half the cabin is Mint. There are only 138 seats on board, while JetBlue's regular A321s, without Mint, have 200 total seats. Now, the economy cabin is arranged in a 3-3 configuration, and at the front, you'll find even more space seats with 3 extra inches of legroom. There are a total of 24 Mint seats, including 2 Mint studios like Suzanne's, all arranged in a 1-1 configuration. As northern Quebec passed underneath us, it was time for our pre-landing meal. On my end, I had the wedge salad with cucumber and buttermilk dressing, and the chilled tomato soup with cucumber and croutons, which I liked more than I expected to. It was surprisingly filling. Suzanne also went for the wedge salad, but she was able to enjoy the shrimp roll on brioche with Little Gem, along with an iced coffee.
I started descending shortly. We're expected to be on the ground about 10 to 15 minutes past the top of the hour. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. Thanks for flying with JetBlue Airways.
Well, as we begin our approach into Boston, it seems like the right time for the JebScore. Let's rate the lounge, the seat, the food, the in-flight entertainment, and the service.
First, JetBlue does not have a lounge, and I'm looking forward to reading your comments about whether this impacts your willingness to fly them. That informal poll will be interesting, but for now, it impacts their JebScore in that they don't get any stars here. When it comes to the seat, I'll focus on the one I was in. Suzanne's Mint Studio is in a category all its own. The Mint Suite, on the other hand, is, well, a bit tight. Unfortunately, storage is lacking, and the placement of the seat adjustment buttons is, for want of a better word, annoying. That said, the bed is quite comfortable. The seat earns 4 stars. The food is a real highlight for JetBlue. Not only is the presentation top-notch, but the offerings are creative, and I really like being able to craft my own combination. 5 stars here. The IFE is pretty strong, really. Free, fast Wi-Fi goes a long way, and the screen is bright, crisp, and responsive. 5 stars here. The service was proactive and friendly. I generally find JetBlue crews to be some of the happiest in the sky, and the crew on today's flight was no exception. 5 stars to them. But what did we pay? Suzanne said this was a steal of a deal, and she was right. We each paid $1,471. Now that included our onward tickets to Washington, D.C., a lot less than a comparable trip one way on a mainline airline. Suzanne paid an additional $299 for her upgrade into Mint Studio. The space was nice, but she was distracted being so close to the lavatory and galley, so she probably won't book that seat again. Also, would you believe we flew right over Queen Mary 2 on our final approach into Boston? I couldn't believe it when I saw her right out my window. It brought back so many great memories of when we traveled on board across the Atlantic Ocean. This trip, though, was a lot faster. All in, JetBlue earns 19 out of a possible 25 stars, but how different it could be if only they operated lounges.
Between now and the next time, see you in the sky.
I don't know what to say.
Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com, and this is Air Serbia, but we're not flying with Air Serbia. I'm booked into this. What was that? Oh.
I'm gonna cough drop.
All right, we want to highlight that. Okay. I'm booked into the standard Mint Suite. All right, here we go.
1 second.
All right, alrighty.
What does that tail?
Okay, Air Astana is over there, and then Air Serbia is over here. Well, Air Serbia just left, but I got it.